little bit about myself. I'm an avid music fan. I love all different kinds of genres of music. I'm also an avid sports fan. I love baseball. I love football. I'm a big Chicago Cubs and Chicago Bears fan. As far as music goes, going back to that, it is my true passion along with reading. It helps me feel a little bit creative, and I enjoy the escape that reading and music give me. My name is Jim. I'm 58 years old. I was born in Huntsville, Alabama on a military base and raised in Chicago by my parents, Jim and Donna. Both of my parents were born here in the U.S. but are of European descent. I was born into a typical American family, with my father getting into the military at a young age. He spent about 6 years in the Army. My mother and father were high school sweethearts that got married young. I have a younger sister who is 2 years younger than me, and a younger brother who is 9 years younger than me. We were raised to be a part of a family that had values, and my father was a very hardworking man. He was a Chicago police officer for almost 30 years of his career. And my mother was a homemaker. She stayed at home with the kids to help raise us. My grandfather was an early riser. I used to get up at about 3 a.m. with him on the days that I worked with him. And to this day, that value still carries with me. I am an early rising type person. I get up about 3 a.m. every day, and I'm in my office generally about 4 or 4:30 every morning. These were things that I learned early in life. From my mother, I learned how to be an empathetic, caring person. And a lot of value was placed in that, and I still to this day carry that value of being empathetic towards others. I went on to Catholic high school as well. My father had also attended that high school in his teen years. I chose that high school because they did have good academics, but they were also well known for their sports programs, where I also continued to play sports. After high school, I had also met my wife, who I now have been with for over 34 years now. We got married and we have 3 sons. As I continued on, I decided that I wanted to be more involved in the trucking industry as I got along with my career. As a matter of fact, one of the first jobs that I had in trucking was a flatbed truck driver. I learned a lot from that role, especially about securing freight and being safe. From that position, I continued on to different types of driving. I drove dry van, LTL. I also drove refrigerated for a while. Overall, I drove for about 13 years of my career, which started off back in 1990. Early in the 2000s, I became more involved in operations, working in safety and training as well. I started off in my first leadership role as an outbound dock supervisor, and then from there, I developed into an operations manager role and continued on into recruiting. Recruiting became something that I was a little bit more passionate about in my career, and I spent about 10 years doing recruiting, working with many of the major trucking companies in the U.S. while I was recruiting drivers from all across the country. How I became interested in the trucking industry was through, first of all, working with my father, but also by a movie called Smokey and the Bandit, which was a movie about trucking, and it interested me from the beginning, and it really kind of cemented my path into the trucking industry. And like most people in the U.S., especially drivers, that is a big part of how they end up in the industry because it's a family type of a business. About 8.5 years ago, I was looking for a new challenge in my career, and I happened to find Nova Lines. One Saturday afternoon, I had the opportunity to meet with the owner of Nova Lines. I spent about an hour and a half with him, and we discussed the things that were important to him as an owner of a small trucking company, because keep in mind at this point in time, we had about 28 trucks. He spoke about integrity and taking care of his people. These were values that were important to him. They aligned with me, and I aligned with them. So I made that choice to continue on and start working with Nova Lines. From that point, we started to work to understand how we could develop our business and how we could grow it. One of the things that we discovered was we had to work hard on treating our drivers like our partners. And that's one of the things that helped us get on this path to where we are today, to over 300 trucks and 300 drivers. Treating our drivers like their business partners, making them a part of us and us a part of their business. Ultimately, operating their business within our business. As we continued on from that small house that was converted into offices, we eventually grew to well over 150 trucks, and we realized we needed to find a bigger facility that we could take care of our equipment and our drivers and give them something that was more centered around them. We eventually moved from that small facility to a facility we are currently in just outside of Chicago in Bridgeview, Illinois. Now today, Novolines has over 200 employees and we have over 300 drivers. We are continuing on that path to growth, but again, focusing on the drivers, because one of the most important things for us at Novolines is that we hire all drivers that are from the U.S. and are U.S. citizens. That's a big part of our business plan, is working with drivers that have like-minded values as we do with Novolines. I'd like to also speak about the values that Novolines has. Some of our values that we start with first and foremost is that we want to operate as a safe carrier, and we want drivers that also have that same value. Communication is also crucial to Novolines. Operating with integrity and honesty is one of our biggest values, as well as helping others grow and develop and forming a legacy that Novolines can carry forward for many, many decades to come. These are important values to us, and they also help for me to talk about three words that I think of that describe Novolines at its best: integrity, bravery, and communication. These are three words that to me signify Novolines and what we're about. Always being honest and upfront with everybody we work with, whether it's our customers, our drivers, people in the organization. Integrity is important, as well as communicating, being open with communication, having communication be a two-way street. And then also, again, having that value that is most important to everybody, and that's treating people well. These are some of the words that I would use to describe us. For drivers that were born here in the U.S., were trained in the U.S., and understand what it takes to operate a truck in the U.S., I would encourage you to check out Novolines if you're looking to grow your own business within our business and be treated like a true partner. Novolines is definitely a business that wants to work with drivers from the U.S. all across the country.